we'll move on to the issue that made me get in touch with you for this interview today. Hey, so we're recording this interview on Friday the 9th of December. I'm not sure exactly what day it's going to be broadcast on the airfilm, but about a week or so ago, you put down a motion at the monthly meeting of Westmeath County Council calling for hare coursing to be banned in the county. Can you tell me more about this motion of yours, Hazel?
Absolutely. So I was originally contacted by the banning blood sports organisation in Ireland about this, and it was probably not something I was all that aware of, to be honest, as an activity. But the more I learned about it, the more horrified I became when I discovered that, again, thousands of wild hares, which are a declining protected species here in Ireland, who, in recent times have actually very considerable declines in their population, are being captured in a really, kind of unpleasant way, being captured, being put into captivity in cages, and then being released to be chased by dogs, maybe 10 times the size of them, and in a lot of cases injured, harmed, sometimes killed as a result, and then discarded, just put back into the wild again, as if they should just return to normal day life after that. So the whole thing to me just sounds really barbaric. I mean, even the fact that when a lot of these hares are put together in confined spaces, it can lead to very contagious, dangerous diseases spreading amongst them. And that has been the case over the past few years that has happened. And, this is banned in most countries around the world, I would say. We're only one of 3 in Europe that still allows this to continue as something that's legal. In Australia, you serve prison time potentially if you're caught to engaging in hare coursing. And it's really shocking to me that we are still allowing this really cruel practice where, I mean, these poor hares, there's actually some hares that I see quite near to where I live there in Westmeath. And they're such beautiful, majestic animals in of themselves, and they really represent, I think, a lot about the lovely biodiversity that we have in Ireland, about what's so lovely about, rural Ireland. And so when people say that, an activity like this, which leads to their death or to their injury, is an integral part of rural Ireland, I can't see how anybody can agree, being perfectly honest. And I understand that, look, it was part of a kind of a means of entertainment or whatever it was, once upon a time. But so are a lot of things that have now since been, eliminated or have, that people have kind of realized that actually this is not something that we should allow to continue. And this type of, it's pure animal cruelty. I mean, like, how terrifying that these poor, innocent, defenseless animals are being expected to run for their lives whilst this big, massive animal chases them. And we, like, as grown adults are, taking, glee or, excitement from seeing this. I think it's appalling to me.
I agree with you.
Really can't.
I agree with you. You mentioned the banned blood sports organisation. I think their official name is the Irish Council Against Blood Sports, but they use the name banned blood sports on social media, I think. Yeah. And I did an interview with Aidan Urell a couple of years ago. They're a national organisation, but they're based in Mullingar, aren't they?
Yeah, so Aidan is the chairperson of the organisation and based in Mullingar, and is doing great work for animal rights in general, which again, when you're seeing statistics like 70% of our biodiversity being wiped out in recent times, that more needs to be done to protect the animals, the biodiversity that we do have still. And the reality is too that I think the vast majority of people do not agree with or support hare coursing, and that is evident from the Red Sea poll around this, where almost 80% of people actually did want to see this ban on hare coursing. I mean, it's banned in the UK, it's banned in Northern Ireland, and yet for whatever reason, even though it would have originated in the UK, and yet they've, and to my mind, had the good sense to actually ban it, we're still allowing it to continue here in Ireland. It's, you know, it's not okay. You know, as I say, times have changed. We know better at this point. We shouldn't be inflicting this type of suffering and cruelty on animals like this. For, you know, there's lots of sports out there, there's lots of means for entertainment. You know, in Canada and the US, they actually use a mechanical lure instead of an actual live animal to kind of test the speed of the or agility of the dogs. So, you know, there's lots of alternatives here. If people do want to still, you know, engage in some type of practice here, you don't need to be using live actual animals here as part of this.
Yeah. Okay, I think this motion of yours, Hazel, was the progressive thing to do. Did you ever get discouraged or despondent with how conservative most of your fellow councillors are in the council on this issue, Hazel, and on probably some other issues as well?
There are, well, something like this definitely does make you feel a bit disappointed, or, you know, as I say, you know, fairly shocked that people would still, and as public reps, where again, I genuinely believe that the vast majority of people don't support this, I find it strange then as public representatives that that wouldn't be represented in our council chambers. As well, because I see it as our role is to represent what the people want, not necessarily what we as individuals want. And so that is disappointing to me. But as I say, I think, you know, on other matters, you know, we work very well together, and there has been a turning of the tide, and I see the councillors are, you know, starting to kind of move towards a more progressive approach on other matters. So that is good to see, but there are certain matters like this where I still find it hard to believe that there hasn't been any progress, really.